Hey y'all, today I'm going to be doing a detailed breakdown of the rig. This is my 2024 Esker Hayduke. I'm going to be sharing my likes, my dislikes. We're going to take you on a little ride, and I'll be sharing a fun story about how I got this bike. Stay tuned. All right, we are back. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who shared some love on the first video. I think it went really well. This video is a little bit different. I'm not going to be planning to talk a lot about gear or components or making that a big focus of the channel, but I did want to just kind of set the foundation for what bike I'm riding. I mean, I have a few bikes in the arsenal, but I thought it would be helpful to just talk a little bit about my favorite rig, some of the things I love about it, how I got it, and how I currently have it set up for bike packing around the Front Range. So before we dive into the components and how the rig's currently set up, before we take you on a ride, I thought it'd be cool to kind of share a little bit of my story. Why a hardtail? Why an Esker? My first gravel bike since moving out west was a Specialized Diverge, and I love that bike. Carbon frame, 45 millimeter tires, and that bike truly is a ripper. And as I started to dive more into biking, cycling around the Front Range, and really figuring out that bike packing was really like the area that I wanted to spend a lot of my time doing, I started to quickly realize that a carbon frame with skinny tires was something that wasn't going to be sufficient for the riding that I wanted to do. And I started to quickly realize that a steel frame with fat tires and the ability to mount a lot of bags was kind of the sweet spot for the next setup that I wanted to go for. And so with knowing that, I kind of took to the internet to do some research about what bikes out there would be sufficient for bike packing. And to be honest, Esker wasn't on my radar from the start. There were a number of other brands that I was looking into when I was evaluating what were the important aspects of the bike and the frame that I wanted to build. Now, before we get into the components, I'm going to drop everything I'm about to share in the description below. So first and foremost, this is a 2024 Esker Hayduke. This is Esker's specific frame that is built for bike packing. There's a lot of mounting points. It is a steel frame, and as you can see, it has a ginormous triangle for my Rogue Panda frame bag, and that was really important to me when I was evaluating what frames I was interested in, because I wanted to be able to ensure that I could store a lot of the things that I needed and maximize the storage space on the bike. And one interesting fact that I actually learned after getting this bike was that Esker names all of their frames after fictional characters in novels and books around people who are protectors of the environment, right? So the Esker Hayduke is actually named after George Washington Hayduke and Edward Abbey's The Monkey Wrench Gang. I can't really give much details about this book yet because I'm about 20 pages in, but another serendipitous point that I found interesting after getting this bike, because I'm somebody who cares about the environment, it's a big reason why I bike pack, and so I thought it was really cool. I've got the Shimano Deore XT group set with the 12-speed cassette. Really like the 12-speed. That's definitely something that I would carry into future builds, and highly recommend for terrain that has a lot of mixed climbing, as well as some flat sections too. Up front is a 32-tooth Shimano chainring, and the cassette is a 1052. And of course, it couldn't be a touring bike without the Brooks saddle. This is the classic B17 black leather. I really love this saddle. To be honest, I was not sure what all the craze was about with Brooks, but I am definitely a believer now. And so with just a little bit of love and care, this saddle will last for a long time. So definitely looking forward to that. It's very comfortable. It definitely didn't take too long to mold to my body, so highly recommend checking out the B17 from Brooks. So another interesting fact when I got this bike is it came with 2 forks. For the first 6 months, I ran this lithic carbon fork, which I really enjoyed. And I wasn't really sure about how I would feel switching to a suspension fork. I never really had any bikes where I ran it aside from when I was a kid. But I recently just switched to the MRP suspension fork. Really love to know, to the bike packers out there, do you run rigid or do you run suspension forks? Especially if you have a hardtail, I'm really curious, so let me know in the comments below. In the cockpit, I'm running the P&W carbon Loam bars, and that's matched with Deore XT mechanical brakes. And that's also set up with a P&W dropper. Not exactly sure on the model, I'll have to double check on that, but check the description below, I'll have the accurate model there. For the grips, I'm running the Ergon GS1. Really enjoy these. These are great for longer days on the bike. I've got a couple different hand positions that I can use. I could just go normal here. But what I actually really enjoy is just kind of going sideways towards the end because it's got this, this wider section. And that's really comfortable for me personally. So I had a set of P&W Loam grips on here, but they were not in any sort of way ergonomic, and I definitely experienced some wrist pain. So check out Ergon if you are looking for a more comfortable setup for your grips for your bike. And lastly, everybody's favorite topic of conversation is tires. This frame is built around 29. So the wheels are Stand Flow S2. They are 29 inch, and I'm running Maxxis Rekon 2.6. And that is definitely the sweet spot for touring. I feel like I can still maintain a good speed on the flats, but I'm well taken care of on more chunky or technical terrain. That's another question I would love to hear from you. What tire size are you running if you primarily use your rig for bike packing? I'm curious. I think 2.6 is that sweet spot for being able to maintain speed, but also being set for more technical terrain. So let me know in the comments. And last but certainly not least, I just wanted to quickly talk about this Rogue Panda frame bag. This is a custom bag built. Rogue Panda works a lot with Esker frames, so all I needed to do was just tell them my model and the size of the frame, and they already had the dimensions, which was amazing. Also only took about 2.5 to 3 weeks. So typically I'll run my 3-liter bladder in this lower compartment, and it fits no problem. I also usually have space for a water filter, and if it's cold weather riding, I'll throw an extra set of gloves in there. And have plenty of space. The bladder right now is about half full, and you can see that it zips up no problem, and I have a good amount of space left in there. The hose runs through the top section, so I'm easily able to access it while riding, which is super nice. On the drivetrain side, I'll keep all of my food and my repair kit here in this little green bag. But food, any extra layers, usually goes in this section. Tons of space. Really make use of this section here. And then one really interesting thing that I actually helped test out for Rogue Panda back on the Monumental Loop this past February was I don't know if you can see it, but this new fastening system bolts directly into my frame. And so when I initially ordered this bag, I had planned to have the daisy chain across the top tube. And Nick from Rogue Panda reached out to me and asked if I would do some testing for a new material for that fastening system that you saw. And I have had no issues, no sagging at all when it's completely full of gear. And so it's been a really nice upgrade to the bag to just be able to fit perfectly within the frame. And then on the opposite side of the bike, it's got one giant section here. Right now I have my footprint in there, which is typically what I'll keep in there, and then I can also throw in any other tools or like smaller items, sunscreen, and still have a good bit of room in there. So it really saves me a lot of space, like in my saddle bag or my handlebar bag, to be able to have gear and food in the frame pack. What do you think, Otto? Are you ready to go on a ride? Yeah, should we get on some dirt? All right. Let's go. Going out for a little spin. Got a little guest with me. We're gonna be doing the Marshall Mesa Dirty Bismarck loop. If you're familiar with that, in Boulder. Maybe all of it, maybe some of it. We'll see. I love this little climb right from Marshall Mesa Trailhead. It's short, but it makes you work a little bit. So the story of how I got this bike is a story of serendipity and trust and openness. And I knew that I wanted to pursue bikepacking as really the area of focus for how I spend my time outdoors. And so with that came the desire to find a new bike that would fit the needs of being in the backcountry, riding technical terrain, and capable of hauling the gear that I need. I was on a flight to Seattle, and I had been doing a lot of research for used bikes. One, because obviously they're typically cheaper than going new, and two, it's better for the environment. And I just so happened to come across this listing on Facebook Marketplace. And so I had my buddy Killian, who you met in the last video, who's a trusted friend and also a mechanic at REI, go and scope it out. And he gave me the green light, and so I bought it. I know that's probably a little less climatic than, you know, maybe what we were expecting, but the lesson that I learned here is that there's things in life that happen for a reason and at the specific time that they're supposed to happen. All you can do is open yourself to those events or opportunities. And when I reflect back on this experience, just knowing how I had this deep desire to spend more time bikepacking and get a new bike that was going to be capable for the terrain I wanted to ride, it just so happened to pop up in the specific time where I was ready for it. And so the lesson here is to open yourself to new opportunities, stay patient, remain clear on what you want, and let the rest take care of itself. So I'm not necessarily saying that, you know, everything has to happen at the perfect time, but it's been just more of a learning for me that things happen for a specific reason, and you may not know why things don't happen or are delayed, or so it's just been a lesson for me in patience and just trusting that when the time is right, or when the universe, whatever the plans the universe has for you are meant to happen, it'll happen. And so just trust it and keep your vision for your life clear and top of mind, and use that as your compass, and just enjoy the ride. I know it sounds cliche, but it's been a valuable life lesson for me. So that's all I got today. Like I said, not planning to do too many gear or bike specific videos, but I felt it was going to be good to help build the relationship with you, to understand, you know, what my bike is, what type of terrain I plan to ride, what my intention is. And so I hope it gives you a little bit of inspiration if you're out there looking for, you know, a bike for your next adventure or the next phase of your cycling journey. I hope this gives you some inspiration. I am planning to do a solo overnighter this week, my first solo overnighter, so I'll be making a video about that for next week's video, so keep an eye out for that. And also, if you haven't checked out my first video from last week, it's just a fun overnighter here in Boulder, Colorado. It's a Dream Canyon, great route, about 3,300 feet of climbing. Johnny Boy, my friend, got a new tattoo. It says Daddy. Give it a check. I'll drop the link in the description below. And we'll see you next time.